Hello, my name is Brett Reef, and this is my Session 5 presentation. I've been an educator for the past 10 years and a devout Christian, and the issue I want to talk to you about today really hits home with me because I've seen how important it is within our school systems. So this child writes a letter to God asking, why do you allow so much violence in our schools? And God responds back, because I'm not allowed in schools. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard this debate. Maybe you've taken sides in it. But I want you to think for a second about how you feel every time you turn on the news and you hear about a shooting or somebody doing something inappropriate, whether it's a teacher to a kid or kid on kid. And I want you to think back to when you were in school and how it wasn't that way. I want you to think about what is it like when the phone rings and it's your school's phone number. What goes through your mind? Does your heart automatically drop like mine does? This is why I believe it's important that we need to put prayer back in school. So today I'm going to talk to you about why we got where we are today, what's happened because of the decisions made, and how it can be changed. So in 1962 and 1963, the Supreme Court made decisions based on school-sponsored prayer and Bible readings, claiming them to be unconstitutional. Now, as Melissa Beckman here, who's a scholar with the Public Religion Research Institute, states, school boards got so paranoid about dealing with religion that they just said we shouldn't do any of that at all. So basically, all of religion was just erased from schools. Now, the funny part about this is that the Supreme Court made a decision that was not popular with the majority. As you can see in this graph here, almost 70% of Americans then and now still feel as if prayer should be a part of the daily routine at school. So you might ask, well, what's the big deal, right? What is they actually learning? Well, as the Bible tells us, and it's whether you look at Proverbs, Ephesians, Deuteronomy, 2 Timothy, or even Psalms here, we are to train our children upright. Teach them the ways of the Lord. Teach them how to pray. And in doing so, they will never leave from those teachings. Children are our heritage. They are our reward. And they are our future. Well, if you think about where they spend majority of their time, 8+ hours a day is within our schools. As parents, we only have a few hours a day to train them right or to train them up. So it being a part of our school system is vitally important. So since 1963, there's been a lot of studies done. And Professor James here, who is from the California State College of Long Beach, states that there's 5 negative developments that have occurred since then. Our academic achievement has dropped. We've seen an increased rate of out-of-wedlock births. We've had increase in illegal drug use, increase in juvenile crime, and deterioration of school behavior. And as he states, when we remove that moral fiber, referencing the Bible, that moral emphasis, this is what can result. And we have seen this over and over again since 1963. For instance, abortion and children out of wedlock. As you look at these graphs, you can see that both have skyrocketed since we took out the morals and the teachings of the Bible. Our Second Amendment, having guns. People have had guns in America since its conception. We use them for food. We use them for protection. We use them for fun. But as you notice from this graph, after 1963, we started to see them used for crimes, mass shootings, and inappropriate behavior. Our academic scores, pre-1963, we were considered the elite. We were the top country in the world in all facets. After we took God out of our church, out of our schools, our SAT scores have plummeted. Even though Recently, the SAT has dumbed down the test or made the questions easier so that our scores would look better. They still haven't. Now, here's some statistics from the National Center of Health Services, U.S. Department of Health, and U.S. Department of Commerce. Arrests of teens is up 150%. Teen suicide is up 450%. Drug activity up 6,000%. Divorce is up 350%. Crime or violent crime is up 350%, all since we took the Bible out of schools. So why is it so important? What can we get back to? Well, I think we need to get back to what our country was made for or made of. And we go back to the time of our forefathers. John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, Samuel Adams. When they put the Constitution together and they constructed the beliefs of this country, they put a separation of church and state. But when it came to our education, they emphasized that we needed to have prayer within our schools. As John Adams states in 1798, our Constitution was made only for a moral and religious people. George Washington stated, "What students should learn in American schools above all is the religion of Jesus Christ," which references back to prayer. In 1790, Samuel Adams talked about the philosophers, the statesmen, all going back to the fear and love of the deity and leading men in the study and practice of the exalted virtues of the Christian people, because prayer leads to being virtuous. And lastly, when we think about prayer, prayer is meant for others. It teaches you to become others-centered instead of self-centered, something that we have seen a lot of in recent years. Now, we've gone downhill a lot. In the past few years, we have seen somewhat of a change. But the irony is, it's coming from outside organizations. It's coming from our private schools. Now, 1 out of 4 schools now is private, and majority of them are Catholic or Christian based. They're teaching the morals and ethics that are from the Bible, holding people to those standards. We have seen that 67% of their high school graduates attend a 4-year college, compared to only 40% from the public schools. They are 3 times more likely to have students from different social economic locations or places in life to attend college than our public schools, which is breaking the cycle of poverty. They're racially and ethnically diverse. Now, people think that private schools are special. That's wrong. 27% of the people are of a different color, and 27% of them come from middle or lower class. These students are 50% more likely to take AP and IB courses than public school students. And they're also more likely to volunteer or do community service through their school than they will in the public school. Their test scores on the SAT also mirror those of our students pre-1963. So by having this Christian and moral background within our schools, we can see that today it still works because our private schools are doing it. Because of this, I urge you to please go out and vote. Please sign petitions. Please talk to your legislators to do what you can to put God and prayer back in our schools so that we can once again not have to worry about our children in such a manner and know that they're going to be successful because they're learning the moral and ethical codes that we need to be successful in life. Thank you and have a great night.